Okay, so in this chapter I would like to cover the machine configurator and give you an overview about the capabilities of machine configurator. First of all, machine configurator is a tool that allows you to create and configure MCF and CCF files. Machine configurator also has two different versions, a machine configurator basic and an advanced version. The advanced version is, like the name tells, more powerful. It has all the capabilities or gives you access to all the capabilities of CSE. It is suitable for all kind of machines, so single channel, multi-channel, mil-turns. It is template based, so it is context specific and parser specific. So for a Siemens controller, you will get other capabilities than if you can use machine configurator for a FANUC controller. And it has some schema support that prevents you from doing errors. And it also allows you to create library files. I will start with a quick demo so that you get a small some impression on how it looks like. So this is machine configurator. On the first tab, it allows you to select which controller you would like to use. It allows you to type in a name that can be specified and some additional general parameters. It also allows you to use a CCF file. A CCF file stands for controller configuration file, while MCF stands for machine configuration file. And a controller configuration file is kind of a library of reusable functionality that you can reuse. With NX, we ship a couple of CCF files for common controllers like the 840D, the FANUC controller, or the Heidenhain controller, but you can also create your own ones or extend the existing ones. So I've just, for example, used the 840D one. The next tab of the machine configurator is related to axis and spindles configuration, so it allows you to create axes and spindles, define limits, and define the velocity, speed parameters for the time calculation and the motion calculation. It also allows you to define the channels, so you can define channels, assign access to the channels, and define in which channel you can use which axis. The biggest or most comprehensive tab is about commands. So this basically lists all the commands that you can use. So for example, an A address with some help shows you that this is an A-axis address, so it allows you for machines that have an A-axis to program it. Or the letter X is an X-axis address, allows you to use an X command. Then G0 is a linear motion in rapid mode, G1 is a linear motion with heat rate mode, and all the behavior that tell here basically the CCF file contains the configuration, what should happen upon a G0. So in a G0 there's a definition that this is rapid, G1 says this is feed rate move. On the method side, this is a way to reuse capabilities, so it's kind of a sub-program that you can use in the commands. Variables, internal and system variables. This gives you access to, for example, Siemens system variables on a Siemens controller to define those. Also, internal variables can be used to store information temporarily, and transformations. This has to do with zero offsets, tool length compensation, and things like that. So with machine configurator, you really have the capabilities to create new things. For example, create a new G code, G100 or whatever, and then define the behavior. And defining the behavior can say do nothing. This means upon a G100, just ignore it. You will not get an error message, but also no behavior. Then another simple behavior is to just consume some time, so that it's considered in the cycle time calculation. The next option you have is to call a subprogram and associate that, for example, with a cycle subprogram. And the last method is to use a method that corresponds to the predefined capabilities here on the method side, mainly what you have defined in the CCF file or your own methods. So you can select one of the methods and then configure the parameters. The last option that you have is, and that is something that is really only available in the advanced version, is customizing it. So this allows you to edit the metacode. It then opens an external XML editor, and in here you can basically start programming. So for example, you can create a if command with a certain condition and then really start programming. So this really gives you full access to the whole spectrum of capabilities of CSE. So much for a quick demo. As differences between the advanced version and the basic version is the basic version is restricted. So in the basic versions on the method side, you can just see the methods. You cannot create your own ones. You can read the description that is built in the CCF files, or that you can specify when you create your own methods. So you can read the description. You will not have access to the variables, internal variables or transformation side, since this really using that will require programming capabilities that you don't have in the basic version. And also on the command side, it will be restricted to only the Siemens commands or G codes that you can configure without programming capabilities. And it will be limited to those 4 options, while you cannot use the customized commands and go into the XML editor to start programming. This is not available on the basic version. The access capabilities, channel capabilities, and the general tab, that is identical between basic and advanced version. So much about a quick demo. So like I said, the advanced version gives you full access. The basic version allows you to create new machines, mainly for single channel machines, to reduce the complexity. That is what you can mainly cover with the basic version. And to create new machines based on CCF files to reuse functionality that we have provided out of the box with the NX installation. Like I said, a big point are the out-of-the-box controller configuration files. So we have a lot of CCF files for common controllers, 840D, Heidenhain, ClearText, the TNC, FANUC family. We don't deliver that with NX, but we also have CCF files available for the Siemens 840C, the older one, and the Rexroth MTX controller from the Bosch group. So if you need those, let us know. And these CCF files contain a lot of predefined functionality that you can just use out of the box. They are, in the meantime, fully documented, so you can create your own documentation out of Machine Configurator that really tells you what functionality is defined in the CCF file. That is pretty comprehensive. To install Machine Configurator, there's a separate presentation that you can use, where to get Machine Configurator and how to install it. So it will basically describe how to install it. You can either install it by installing ReLN-C, and the ReLN-C setup will include a Machine Configurator and install it automatically. Another option is to install Machine Configurator as a standalone application. In this case, you will have to install the Technomatics FlexLM licensing. So the UGS licensing used for NX is not sufficient. You need to install the Technomatics FlexLM licensing capabilities in addition to the NX, of course. That doesn't hurt itself. So download this setup, run the setup, follow the instructions here from this document. With the setup options that you should choose. So you should not choose the licensed server setup. You can do that manually afterwards. If you want to request these licenses or the Machine Configurator Basic as a partner from your partner contact, these product numbers will be helpful. So the basic version has these product numbers for node locked and floating licenses, and the advanced version, the TN11538. For internal peoples, you can download licenses from this link and follow these instructions please make sure that you follow this renaming recommendation, otherwise it will not work. To set up licensing, there's a small tool that will be included in this licensing setup. The easiest thing is to use a node-lock license. If you use Machine Configurator just on your computer, it's really recommended to use node-lock licenses. In this case, you don't have to mess around with installing license services. To install a node-lock licenses, go into this license utility, select license file, just specify the directory where you've copied the license file to, and click finish, and that should be it. This is once again the link where you can download the setup. This also works for partners from externally. It requires a web key to log in, but then you can get access to that. For the advanced version of Machine Configurator, we're using an external XML editor. You can use your own one. You can use your favorite text editor, although this is probably not very convenient to modify XML. What we would really recommend is to use the Microsoft XML Notepad. You can use the latest version, which is the 2.5. You can find it on the Microsoft website. Download, install it. And then if you start Machine Configurator for the first time, you should make some settings. So under File Settings, you can specify which XML editor you want to use, which language you want to use. At the moment it's only available in German and English, and which unit you want to use to enter the access parameters.